Your doctor probably told you that the mental fog, the slower recovery, the joint stiffness, that it's just aging. Accept it. Manage it. But here is what that conversation almost never includes. Researchers now understand one of the primary reasons your body slows its own repair process after 60, and it comes down to something happening inside your stem cells. Not a disease, not bad luck. A biological process that recent science has found to be genuinely, meaningfully addressable through something most of us either ignore or dramatically underconsume. The food is ordinary. The science behind what it does is not. Stay with me, because what you're about to learn changes the way you think about aging. I'm Dr. Sarah Mitchell, and this channel brings you the most current, evidence-based research in senior health, translated into plain language you can actually use tomorrow morning. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do, so you never miss an update that could genuinely matter for your health or someone you love. Now let's talk about your stem cells, because the research here has shifted significantly in the last 3 years. The food is wild blueberries, not the large, pale, cultivated variety you find in most produce sections. The small, dark, intensely pigmented wild low-bush blueberry. And before you dismiss this as another superfood claim, I want to walk you through the actual mechanism, because this goes much deeper than antioxidants. Here's what is happening in your body right now. You have stem cells distributed throughout your body, in your bone marrow, your brain, your muscle tissue, your gut lining. These cells serve as your body's internal repair system. When a muscle fiber tears, stem cells generate replacement tissue. When your brain forms new memories, neural stem cells in the hippocampus produce the new connections needed for that process. In your 20s and 30s, this system runs efficiently. But starting in your 50s and accelerating through your 60s, two compounding problems emerge. First, chronic low-grade inflammation accumulates and begins creating a hostile environment for stem cell activity. Second, a family of proteins called sirtuins, specifically SIRT1 and SIRT3, begin declining. These sirtuin proteins are now recognized by researchers as central regulators of stem cell aging. When sirtuin activity drops, stem cells progressively enter a dormant state, and your body's capacity for self-repair slows in ways you almost certainly notice. Illness takes longer to shake. Physical recovery stretches from days into weeks. Mental sharpness becomes inconsistent. Here is what the wild blueberry research has found, and this is where it gets genuinely remarkable. Wild blueberries contain an extraordinary concentration of compounds called anthocyanins, the same pigments that give them their deep blue-purple color. But what makes wild blueberries uniquely different from standard cultivated blueberries is density. Wild blueberries, sometimes called low-bush blueberries, contain roughly 2 to 3 times the anthocyanin concentration per gram compared to the large cultivated varieties. This distinction is not marketing. Researchers are deliberate about specifying wild blueberries in their study methodologies because the concentration difference is large enough to change outcomes. In 2023, a double-blind, randomized controlled trial published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition followed 61 healthy adults between ages 65 and 80. Researchers at King's College London gave one group the equivalent of 178 grams of wild blueberries daily in freeze-dried powder form. The control group received a perfectly matched placebo. After 12 weeks, the wild blueberry group showed measurable improvements in both cognitive performance and vascular function. The researchers specifically noted that anthocyanin metabolites were detected in participants' bloodstreams, confirming the compounds were being absorbed and reaching target tissues, including the brain. That last part matters enormously, because most compounds you eat never cross what is called the blood-brain barrier. Anthocyanins from wild blueberries do. Drop a comment right now and tell me, do you already eat wild blueberries regularly, or is this the first time you're hearing they're different from regular blueberries? I genuinely want to know where you're starting. Also in 2023, a separate clinical trial published in Nutritional Neuroscience followed older adults with mild cognitive decline. Participants receiving wild blueberry intervention for 6 months showed measurably improved speed of mental processing, which is exactly the kind of function linked to hippocampal stem cell activity. These were not people in good health being made slightly better. These were seniors already experiencing cognitive changes, showing meaningful reversal of measurable decline. But here's what shocked researchers the most. The mechanism isn't just antioxidant protection, which is what most people assume berries provide. Wild blueberries also contain a compound called pterostilbene. This is a close chemical cousin of resveratrol, the compound in red wine that generated enormous research attention years ago. But pterostilbene has something resveratrol doesn't: dramatically higher bioavailability. The difference comes down to molecular structure. Pterostilbene has two methoxy groups that make it far more lipid-soluble, meaning your body absorbs and actually uses significantly more of it. And pterostilbene has been found to directly upregulate sirtuin activity, particularly SIRT1, which is the same longevity pathway that appears central to stem cell maintenance and cellular repair. When SIRT1 activity is restored, dormant stem cells regain the signaling they need to become active. Let me tell you about Eleanor, 72, a retired school teacher in North Carolina. Eleanor had been noticing what she described as a ceiling on her thinking. She could feel herself reaching for words that used to come instantly, losing her thread mid-conversation, and her physical stamina had declined steadily for 3 years. After learning about the specific wild blueberry research, she added 1 cup of frozen wild blueberries to her morning routine daily. At the 6-month mark, she reported something she hadn't expected. Her recovery from a respiratory infection that had put her in bed for a week was, by her own assessment and her doctor's observation, notably faster than her last similar illness 2 years prior. Her cognitive assessments also improved. One person's experience isn't clinical proof, but her outcome reflects exactly what the research predicts when these biological pathways are adequately supported. There is another layer to this that is often overlooked, and it connects directly to why so many people over 60 feel their energy and recovery declining in ways that seem disproportionate to their age. Researchers have identified what are called senescent cells, cells that have aged to the point where they no longer function but refuse to die. They sit in your tissues, releasing a constant stream of inflammatory chemicals that damage the surrounding healthy cells and suppress stem cell activity. Think of them as broken machinery that is also actively jamming the functioning machinery around it. A 2022 study in the journal Aging Cell found that high anthocyanin dietary intake was associated with significantly reduced markers of this cellular senescence, including measurably lower levels of the inflammatory proteins these zombie cells release. Reducing that inflammatory burden appears to restore the environment stem cells need to operate. Here is something most people don't realize. It isn't just the brain. Wild blueberry anthocyanins have been shown in multiple trials to reduce C-reactive protein and IL-6, 2 of the most significant inflammatory markers tracked in seniors. A 2022 study found that anthocyanin supplementation over 24 weeks in adults with elevated cholesterol led to a measurable reduction in both of these markers. Blood pressure also decreased by 5 to 6% in women with pre- and stage 1 hypertension after 8 weeks of consistent blueberry intake. The biological reach of these compounds extends across the cardiovascular system, the brain, and the cellular environment where stem cells either thrive or go quiet. Here is a question to consider right now, and drop your answer in the comments. Has recovery from illness, injury, or even emotional stress taken noticeably longer over the past 5 years? If yes, you're not imagining it, and the research has a biological explanation for it. Now here is exactly what you should do starting this week. First, the form matters significantly. Look specifically for wild blueberries, not regular blueberries. In the frozen section of most grocery stores and Walmart, you will find bags labeled wild blueberries from brands like Wyman's or store-brand organic wild varieties. These are the ones used in published research. Standard large cultivated blueberries do not provide equivalent anthocyanin concentration and have shown much weaker effects in studies. Second, the effective amount. Research showing significant benefits used between half a cup and 1 full cup daily. Start with half a cup and increase if you tolerate it well. There is no benefit to exceeding 1 cup daily, and doing so adds unnecessary sugar intake. Third, pair them with dietary fat. Anthocyanins are fat-soluble, meaning absorption improves significantly when consumed with a meal containing some healthy fat. Adding wild blueberries to oatmeal with a tablespoon of almond butter, or blending them into a smoothie with half an avocado, meaningfully improves what your body actually receives from them. Fourth, think in terms of months, not days. The King's College London trial ran 12 weeks. The nutritional neuroscience trial ran 6 months. This is not a one-week experiment. Plan to make this a permanent addition to your daily eating pattern. If you stop, the benefits diminish over time. Fifth, hydration supports the process. Aim for at least 6 to 8 glasses of water daily because cellular repair processes require adequate hydration to function. Wild blueberries support the biological environment. Water enables it. A few safety notes before you head to the grocery store. Wild blueberries are a whole food with an excellent safety record for virtually all adults. However, if you take warfarin or other blood thinners, please inform your doctor before significantly increasing your berry intake, as high anthocyanin consumption can mildly affect platelet function. If you have kidney disease, discuss any significant dietary changes with your nephrologist first. If you're managing type 2 diabetes, introduce wild blueberries gradually and monitor your glucose response, though research consistently shows a neutral to beneficial effect on blood sugar in most people. And as with any significant change to your health routine, let your primary care physician know. The research has now accumulated to a point where this is not a fringe claim. Wild blueberries, consumed daily and consistently, appear to work through 3 distinct biological pathways simultaneously: activating sirtuin proteins that regulate stem cell behavior, increasing BDNF levels that support neural stem cell activity, and reducing the inflammatory senescent cell environment that suppresses the entire repair system. You can start this week for less than the cost of a single copay. Comment below with one of these 3. Comment "starting this week" if you're adding wild blueberries to your routine. Comment your age if you want to join the community sharing this journey, or comment "sharing" if you're sending this to someone who needs this information. Every comment helps this channel reach more seniors who deserve access to this research. If this kind of evidence-based content is valuable to you, please subscribe and tap the notification bell. Next week, I'll be covering the specific mineral deficiency that appears in over 40% of adults over 65 and is directly linked to cardiovascular risk, nighttime muscle cramps, and poor sleep quality. And it is not the one most people expect. I'm Dr. Sarah Mitchell. Take good care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next video.